Welcome to Grammar and Writing Academy, your destination for mastering English. Imagine being far from home, lost on a wild, dangerous adventure. This is the story of Odysseus, a brave Greek hero who is about to face one of the toughest journeys ever told. In today's video, we're going to dive into two exciting parts of his journey. The Odyssey begins, and the mysterious shore. In these chapters, Odysseus is stuck far from his homeland, fighting monsters, meeting strange creatures, and trying to find his way back to his family. Get ready to sail through stormy seas, uncover mysterious islands, and learn how Odysseus shows incredible bravery and cleverness along the way. So, grab your adventure hats and let's begin the tale of one of the greatest heroes of all time. The Odyssey begins. Soon after the Greek ships left Troy, the skies began to blacken. Lightning zigzagged above the foamy sea. Thunder shook the heavens. Mighty winds stirred the water. The waves grew higher and higher until they were rolling over the bows of the ships. "The gods are punishing us," the Greek warriors shouted. "We shall all drown." As his men frantically fought the storm, Odysseus felt bewildered. Why was Zeus, god of the skies, hurling his thunderbolts at them? Why was Poseidon, lord of the seas, sending great waves over the waters? Odysseus turned to his men. "What has happened to anger the gods?" he shouted. "Tell me." "Before we left Troy, Greek warriors invaded Athena's temple," said one of his men. "They were violent and disrespectful." Odysseus was stunned. The Greeks had offended the goddess who had helped them to victory, and now her anger might drown them all. The wind grew stronger. It whipped the sails of the Greek ships and slashed them to rags. "Lift your oars!" Odysseus shouted to his men. "Row, row to shore!" The Greeks struggled valiantly against the mighty wind and waves. Fighting for their lives, they finally rowed their battered ships to a strange shore. There they found shelter in a rocky cave. The storm raged for 2 more days and nights. Then, on the 3rd day, a fair wind blew. The sun came out, and the wine-dark sea was calm at last. "Now we can continue on our way," Odysseus said to his men. "Athena is no longer angry." In the rosy dawn, he ordered them to raise their tattered sails and set off again for Ithaca. But alas, the wrath of Athena had not been fully spent. Hardly had Odysseus reached the open sea than another gale began to blow. For many days, Odysseus and his men fought the wind and the waves, refusing to surrender to the storm. Finally, on the 10th day, there was sudden calm. Odysseus ordered his fleet to sail into the cove of a leafy green island. There he hoped to find food and drink for his hungry, weary men. The Greeks dropped anchor. Then they dragged themselves ashore. They drank cool, fresh water from a spring and collapsed onto the sand. As Odysseus rested, he ordered 3 of his men to explore the island and look for provisions. When the 3 had not returned by late afternoon, Odysseus grew angry. Why did they tarry, he wondered. Odysseus set out in search of the men. He moved through the brush and brambles, calling their names. He had not gone far when he came upon a group of peaceful islanders. They greeted him with warm, friendly smiles, and they offered him their food, lovely bright flowers. Odysseus was famished. But just as he was about to eat the flowers, he caught sight of his missing men. The three were lying on the ground, with dreamy smiles on their faces. Odysseus called each man by name, but none of them answered. They did not even look at him. "What have you done to them?" he asked the islanders. "We have given them our flowers to eat," an islander answered. "This is our greatest gift. The gods would be angry if we did not offer to feed our guests." "What sort of flowers are these?" Odysseus asked. "They come from the lotus tree," the islander said. "They have the magical power of forgetfulness. They make a man forget the past." "Forget his memories of home?" asked Odysseus. "And his memories of his family and friends?" The lotus eaters only smiled. They again offered Odysseus their sweet, lovely flowers, but he roughly brushed them away. He pulled his three men to their feet and commanded them all to return to their ships at once. The men began to weep. They begged to be left behind, so they could stay on the island and eat lotus flowers forever. Odysseus angrily herded the men back to the ships. As they drew near the shore, the three tried to escape. Odysseus called for help. "Tie their hands and feet," he shouted to his crew. "Make haste, before others eat the magic flowers and forget their homes too." The three flailing men were hauled aboard and tied to rowing benches. Then Odysseus ordered the 12 ships to push off from shore. Once more, the Greeks set sail for Ithaca, sweeping the grey sea with their long oars. As they rowed past dark islands with jagged rocks and shadowy coves, Odysseus felt troubled and anxious. What other strange wonders lurked on these dark, unknown shores? The mysterious shore. Soon the Greek ships came upon a hilly island, thick with trees. No humans seemed to live there. Hundreds of wild goats could be heard bleating from the island's gloomy thickets. Odysseus ordered his men to drop anchor in the shelter of a mist-covered bay. By the time the Greeks had lowered their sails, night had fallen. The moon was hidden by clouds. In the pitch dark, the men lay down on the sandy shore and slept. When daylight came, the men woke to see woodland nymphs, the daughters of Zeus, driving wild goats down from the hills. The hungry Greeks eagerly grabbed their bows and spears and slew more than 100 goats. All day, the Greeks lingered on the island, feasting on roasted meat and drinking sweet wine. As the sun went down, they stared at a mysterious shore across the water. Smoke rose from fires on the side of a mountain. The murmur of deep voices and the bleating of sheep wafted through the twilight. Who lives there? Who stokes those fires? Odysseus wondered silently. Are they friendly or lawless men? Darkness fell, and the Greeks slept once more on the sand. When he was wakened by the rosy dawn, Odysseus stared again at the mysterious shore in the distance. Though he was yearning to set sail for Ithaca, a strange curiosity had taken hold of him. Odysseus woke his men. "I must know who lives on that far shore," he said. "With a single ship, I will lead an expedition to find out whether they are savages or civilized humans. Then we will continue our journey home." Odysseus chose his bravest men to go with him. They untied a ship from their fleet and pushed off from the island. Soon the Greeks were swinging their long oars into the calm face of the sea, rowing toward the mysterious shore. When they drew close, they dropped anchor beneath a tall, rocky cliff. Odysseus filled a goatskin with the best wine he had on board, made from the sweetest grapes. This will be our gift to repay the hospitality of anyone who welcomes us into his home, he said. He ordered some of his men to remain with the ship, then led the rest up the side of the cliff. On a ledge high above the water, they discovered a large, shady clearing. On the other side of the clearing, creeping vines hung over the mouth of a cave. The Greeks pushed past the vines and stepped inside. The cave was filled with young goats and lambs. Pots of cheese and pails of goat's milk were everywhere. But there was no sign of a shepherd. "Hurry," said one of Odysseus's men. "Let us grab provisions and leave." "Yes, we should drive the lambs down to our ship before their master returns," said another. "No," said Odysseus. "We will wait a while. I am curious to see who lives here." The Greeks made a fire and gave an offering to the gods. Then they greedily took their fill of milk and cheese. Finally, in the late afternoon, they heard whistling and bleating. "Ah, the shepherd returns," Odysseus said. "Let us step forward and meet this man." But when they peered out of the cave, the Greeks gasped with horror. For the shepherd was no a man at all. He was a monster. And there we have it, Odysseus, a hero whose journey is filled with trials, triumphs, and heartache. His adventure is more than just about reaching home. It's about the strength of will, the cleverness of mind, and the power of perseverance. His journey reminds us that no matter how difficult the road ahead may seem, with courage and wit, even the most impossible challenges can be overcome. So the next time you're faced with a struggle, remember, like Odysseus, you have the strength within you to navigate through. In the second part of this video, there will be a summary with plenty of questions and answers to let you have better understanding. Hope you like it. If you enjoyed this dive into the world of Greek mythology, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more mythological adventures, and comment down below. What part of Odysseus's journey stood out to you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again for watching. See you later. Goodbye.